Stop comparing everything to your comfort and start comparing it to what it's accomplishing for the kingdom. And when you start to accomplish things for the kingdom, oh my goodness, it changes everything. It changes absolutely everything. And if Christians did that, it would unlock a new ability to learn to be content. I don't understand the whole, like, with men anyways, and I'm not saying you can't cry, so don't quote me and put it all over Instagram.
Well, it seems like that's what you're saying.
Men are allowed to cry. I just said when I hurt myself, I have a stronger urge to scream than and I mean like angrily than I do to cry.
I have a strong urge to swear. So I don't.
Okay. That's good.
But
that's good.
Sometimes crying's the better option.
Crying.
No,
maybe.
I don't think as an adult I've ever been in so much pain that I've cried. Not true, actually. One time I can legitimately say I think one of the most painful experiences of my life was going to the gym, being a newbie. I did calf raises, and I didn't realize that, like, you can't really exhaust your calves till failure. Like that, you shouldn't do that ananyway. I had no idea.
So the next day they're just brutal?
I could not get out of bed. Yeah. Legitimately. Like, I had to call for my dad. My dad, like, he helps me up to, like, the upstairs, sits me down, and then, my dad, he's got, like, these massive mitt hands, and he just takes my leg and starts digging his fingers into my calf. And I did cry. That was...
Like, do you mean like a tear rolled down you start sobbing?
I was like, like, it felt like somebody was, like, taking a knife and, like, stabbing me in the leg and then just, like, twisting it as many times.
I guess that whenever I think of, like, someone saying, like, I cried, I think of, like...
Yeah, it wasn't like that. It was, like, screaming in pain. Yeah. And he was like, this is the only thing that's going to help. So I endured.
Did it help?
It did help.
That's good.
Yeah. I woke up the next day and I could get out of bed. It was fine. But
yeah,
I have never done calves at the gym after that, though.
Yeah, I think there's one, like, in my adult life, I don't cry. Like, when it comes to, like, pain.
Come on.
No, I don't. I was in my garage one time and I had, like, that old John Deere, like, I'm talking like 40-year-old John Deere, like, snowblower sitting in the garage. Yeah. And I was just walking quickly to the back to get something for a tool for something. And this was laying in the middle. I just got it in there. I was trying to put the whole, like, snowblower on for winter. And obviously the John Deere snowblowers are steel, like, and they're not just like heavy aluminum. Duty, they're like, yeah, there's some serious steel. And I was walking, clipping it, and I just happened to just, like, if this is my ankle bone, I just so happened to just, like, nick it like as I was walking by, and that was like bone pain, and that was like, I was like, and I was about to pass out in my driveway, and I'm like, and then so I literally went and sat on my front step of my house, and then laid back, and then just, like, stayed there for like 15 minutes because I was like, I feel like I'm gonna pass out. Like, it was that intense, yeah. But then once it goes away, but that is like you can't focus on anything else but that. Yeah, like, it's just crazy. But and that's what I'm saying. I've never cried, but I understand crying now if you're saying that, like, you're just, like, in that pain and then tears start to come down your face. Yeah. Because, like I said, I was more like viewed it like a yeah. And I get that now. I get that. Yeah, I understand that. So, anyways, you came. Coffee's weak, man.
My coffee's strong.
Where'd you get it from?
Strong with Chobani creamer.
This is not.
I don't know where it's from.
Not an ad.
Yeah, not sponsored.
Yeah,
but it's good stuff.
I'm not getting sponsored by no girly creamers.
Okay, sorry, bleep that out.
Yeah,
bleep it out.
Everyone thinks you have, like, a nice black coffee in there. And
you got, like, a
cookie. You got a cookie butter creamer in there. Yeah,
I like coffee, but I don't understand black coffee.
I actually thoroughly enjoy a good cup of black coffee, but it has to be a good cup.
No, I think you're saying that because you just want to be more masculine.
No, I mean that. Like, if you have we have a Breville espresso maker at home, and with the right coffee, and the Americanos are actually very nice. I bet you I could. Actually, I think I did make you one at my house one time.
Yeah, I think you did.
And you said, yeah, it's not too bad.
I thought you were going to add sweetener to it, and then I tasted it, and I was like, All right, we're going with this today.
No, I'm pretty sure you said I'll try black because I said black's actually really good. Because you said how do you usually have yours, and I was like I always have mine black at that time. I do put cream now in my coffee more often than not, but there was a time where I was like,
don't like it. It doesn't taste good, but I can understand how you could have it to the point where you're just okay with it. Like in my mind, black coffee is not good. It is. You can bear it, and if you're doing it for the caffeine, great. But just to sit back and enjoy, that's why everybody's black coffee's like that big.
I don't know how I feel about that. And then because then my question goes like, do you really like coffee? If that's the case, then, or do you like the creamer, or do you have creamer with
that's
coffee?
That's a ridiculous thing to say. Because
Why?
That's like, well, do you like?
You see, the fact that you just said that and couldn't back up your with that quick.
I'm thinking through what I'm going to say, but that would be like saying any dish that has like more than one ingredient, and you're like, well, do you truly like it for what it is, or do you like it because it's mixed together?
No, but it's one thing to say I love spinach, and then you show me a spinach dip that you like, and I go, well, that's predominantly cheese, Andre. You know what I mean? So the argument is the fact that you don't actually like spinach, you like cheese dip. They just have enough spinach in there to turn it green.
But is it possible to like the flavor of the spinach as it complements the dip?
Yes, but then my question would be, do you like spinach, or do you like it as a supplementary ingredient?
Yeah, but what counts as the supplementary ingredient?
The amount that's in it.
Okay, so this is still coffee then.
It's still I don't know how much creamer you got in.
There's that much coffee. There's that much cream.
And the only person that knows that is maybe Allie if she was home when you poured it in.
She made it actually.
For all I know, you steamed a cup of Chobani creamer and then put an espresso shot in it.
All I'm trying to say is I think that no one starts out liking black coffee. You don't taste black coffee right off the bat from not drinking coffee and you're like, oh, this is amazing.
I think there might be someone out there that may have tasted it for the first time and said, wow, this is really good.
Maybe a cowboy from like the 1800s.
Maybe. So you can't say no.
Other than that, it's something that you slowly work towards, okay? And I get like maybe your palate can change or whatever, but
I don't know.
I don't understand when people are like, oh, you take sugar and cream in your coffee. It's like, yeah, I do. And I also have icing on my cake. And I also have, mashed potatoes with my steak or gravy with my steak.
I didn't know this was going to be such a heart-wrenching conversation for you. So
all right, I'm going a little too far into this. I think what we need to really talk about is I think the listeners would like to hear about your hunting trip that your excursion that you just finished. Tell us about it.
I think that
you told me a little bit already, but
I think that I don't know how everyone feels about hunting. So
oh, come on.
I think I did go hunting, but I also don't want to offend some. All right,
we're going to leave it there.
I do like hunting, and I'm a Métis harvester.
Same.
Yeah. You don't have your card yet, do you?
I do.
You do? Okay.
Of course.
Yeah, so I'm Métis. I'm French, native, indigenous, whatever the word is these days.
Yeah, you got to be careful
I'm Métis.
with that one.
Okay.
Same.
Yeah. So
but
it's
like
good.
You went hunting. I feel like that for people that don't like hunting, that's like
no. I think the dichotomy with hunting sometimes is the fact that there's trophy hunters too, where it's like they have this idea. No, like if I'm hunting, I'm doing it to fill the freezer, and I in fact did fill our freezer, which is with some of the best meat you could ever have. So I'm excited about that for sure. But I'm married to it. My wife is not a huge fan of hunting. So it's like, I understand the side. You don't have to be like, not a fan of hunting and be like, oh my gosh, you're a vegetarian. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, we're going to get off into the deep end. But at the same time, like if you're going to eat any meat. I think that if you're a meat eater in any sorts, then you're okay with the ethical side of obtaining that meat. And hunting might be the most ethical way. It is, but there's a lot of hunters out there that ruin it for us too. Fair enough. So it just depends on where we go. But yes, I was out in the state of Montana. It was actually unbelievably beautiful there. Like so beautiful. I can imagine. We were driving and it was good. It was awesome. Super nice people there, and we had a great time. Sometimes it's just good to get out, and there's certain things with nature, like the part of hunting that people don't really talk about is that like the part of like shooting and those types of things, it's like 1% of what you do. Most of the time you're just like legitimately like hiking and looking around, and you're seeing things you've never seen before because you couldn't get there by a quad or a ATV.
You're running after Bambi.
No.
Yeah.
No. Great. Yeah, this is why I don't have conversations with you.
Sorry. Yeah, shooter ready.
Shooter ready, baby.
And you filled your freezer. That's
the
all
freezer.
everyone wants to
That's
know.
what matters.
That's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, yeah.
You went to Montana, hiked a few mountains, ended up taking some meat home.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, that's why I would like to actually get into hunting. Just for the fact of like, it seems like a pretty good financial way to eat.
Okay, financially, it's not a great way to eat.
Really?
No. Your cost per pound, even if you hunt in Manitoba, is...
How much does it cost to like hunt a deer?
Well,
or $1.
You want to really go down that road, because it's not just like your tag costs $50, this costs that, this costs that.
Yeah.
It's like, how much does the gun cost? How much does the ammunition cost? How much does the gas towards their cost? How many things are you going to buy that you don't really need?
We're not going to talk about that. We're just going to talk about the tag and the butchering fees.
Yeah, I would say that's worth it.
There you go.
Yeah,
so it's worth it.
But that's just not.
Other than that,
it's
a hobby though. So there's value.
If you view it as like, there's certain things in life that really. Snowboarding was it for a long time for me, where it was like there was nothing that would get my mind off of what I'm doing, that like being in the mountains snowboarding. Like that was when I was growing up. Like that was like in my teen years. Oh my god! Like there's nothing that took your mind off something as that for me. And there is something about just being in nature, however you like that, whether it's hiking, whether it's hunting, that kind of stuff. There's nothing like being in nature that gets your mind completely on nothing, as long as you are very purposeful and not allowing your Instagram and your phone to be a distraction.
Right.
Because I get annoyed with the phone stuff too. I think sometimes we blame caffeine for anxiety and different things, which caffeine can be an absolute massive proponent in making you feel anxious and nervous. But you know what also makes you feel anxious and nervous is just getting into the like on Instagram right in the morning and just scrolling, and you think it's not doing anything to you, but it is. It's taking your mind off things and making it very hard. I was listening to an audiobook on the way here, and it was like I had to really focus on listening to what it was saying. Yeah. And if I didn't, I'd be like, what was just said? I can't remember what was just said, because your mind's so on everything else all of the time. And I think that scrolling does that. Yeah. That's all.
It's like practice to focus. Yeah, recently I started using it's the Bible app that like reads the Bible to you with like nice ambient music.
Is it Dwell?
Dwell, yeah, that's it. Love it.
I know, I love Dwell too.
But there's times where I'm like, a minute will go by and I'm like, oh, I need to like hit the back button a few times because I did not catch that. But yeah, I'll like listen to it as I'm going for a walk or driving or whatever. Because normally I'll listen to like music or podcasts, but even that is mindless. Like it doesn't cause you to actually have to like focus a lot of the time.
Well, in the podcasts you typically like listening to while you're driving are mindless ones. It's like you learn some, but you don't learn a lot.
True.
And you don't really want to learn all the time, but it's like there's certain, like audiobooks, I have to get back into it because I got out of the trend, and the reason I stopped listening to it was because I felt like I wasn't retaining a whole lot. Yeah. But you have to, I think that you do retain some, and if you're driving anyways, like might as well. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's very true. Like, so it just depends on what it is, but
that's true.
It's good.
Well, we might as well get into the Blessed Life series that has just concluded this past Sunday. Oh.
I'm just joking.
That's what we're talking about.
I'm sure we are.
Yeah. We're discussing the ins and outs of the Blessed Life. I loved the series personally. Mm-hmm. I think it really put into perspective what the Blessed Life actually is, because I think even when we talk about Christianity, faith, blessing, all this stuff, people instantly get the wrong idea in their head. Mm-hmm. And I think you hit the nail on the head many times throughout the series of talking about how like the blessed life is not consumerism. Yeah. And I think there's still a lot of people that probably heard that and still went back to their day-to-day life and it still is consumerism for them. But I guess like how would you define the blessed life in simple terms? Could there be like a one statement like this is kind of the idea of the blessed life?
I'm actually adding one more week to the blessed life. I have one more that I'm going to preach now. But that's good. we can have a conversation again.
Awesome.
But the blessed life to me is, it's more than the fruits of the Spirit. It's more like the fruits of the Spirit are great, and they're the blessing, and I get that. And I'm actually talking about this a little bit more in my message this Sunday, and maybe next Sunday, depending on when Winnipeg hears it, because I'm in Calgary. But
Right.
there's a hope, and there's like a side to where you sit in the fact that God has a good plan for you. And I think that the one of the biggest detriments to the blessed life is us deciding what that blessing is. And I think that's one of the biggest deterrences from people experiencing the blessed life or not experiencing the blessed life, is that the blessing to them is whatever they think the blessing is.
Yeah.
And so if it's a new truck for someone, or if it's extra money for someone else, or a promotion, it's like, you don't get to define what the blessed life is. God has already defined what the blessed life is. Right. The blessed life is it's the Bible says, and I spoke through it from John. It's like, you remain in him, his love remains in you. If anything, it's like the blessed life really dwindled down to me is what I kind of said this last is about the posture of the blessed life, is what my last message was about.
Right.
And it's staying in that posture of what the blessed life is. And so that means staying in alignment, like I mentioned it's staying grateful. That's one of the biggest things is staying grateful. And I think a lot of people don't stay grateful unless they get more or get exactly what they want. And I don't like that avenue. So it's like, if I give you something, so it's like, if you're saying, oh man, I'm really needing something, God, I want, and just so happens that I look at you and go, oh, you know what I want to do? I want to give Andre this. And I'm talking to Jess at home, let's say. And it's like, I think that Andre and Allie might benefit from maybe us saying, hey, like, we have this extra fridge. I don't know. Maybe you could use it. So we give you a fridge. And it's like, you're like, oh, cool, thanks. And it's like, and maybe you don't know if that's what you needed, and maybe it is something you needed, but it's not what you wanted. Yeah. I think a lot of people like to put their wants on the blessing rather than what they need. Right. And I think, truthfully, God only knows what I need.
Yes.
Like, I know that I need this. Like, I talk to different people all the time, and perspective is huge, because in church we have people that feel like they're not living the blessed life, and they might be doing all the right things. They might be tithing, they might be praying, they might be giving their time voluntarily to the church, to our ministry. And they might go, yeah, but I've been driving this truck for a while, and it's been 10 years old now. It has 350,000 kilometers, and it still works. Yeah, it's great, but I've been praying to God that, like, I need a new vehicle. I need something to get into that's different. And then I just simply say, I totally get that, and I get stuck in that what I would call a consumeristic mindset. Mm-hmm. And it's not, and the hard part is that when I say consumeristic mindset, I'm not meaning they're meaning to be consumers. Yeah. That's what people always instantly respond to me with all the time, is that, no, but I don't want all of these things. I'm like, I'm not saying you actively think you want it. I'm just saying we've bought into the desire of it. Yes. Whether we think it or not. And so I'm not saying you're a bad person and you want what you shouldn't want. It's just, it's difficult to remember that God has a certain life for us. And I genuinely want, I'm not going to say this because it's going to make me sound perfect, because I'm not perfect at all. I want to make sure that what I want, God wants. Yeah. That's all. And I think that's what it comes back down to. And so with that conversation, let's say hypothetically, I'm not saying I've had this conversation with someone, but I'm saying I've had many conversations like this where I'm like, okay, but you have to remember that even in our church alone, we're getting into winter. You're going to see families walking from the bus stop with their 3 kids, all in snowsuits, minus 40. They don't have a truck that has 350,000 kilometers on it, but they would kill for a truck with 350,000 kilometers on it, where they could actually get their family into it and get them to church. So perspective is very massive. And I'll always say comparison. I don't want to say it only does these two things, but comparison, in my opinion, always leaves you prideful or leaves you discouraged. And those are the two big things that I see with comparison. There might be some more in there, but predominantly, if you're comparing your life to someone else's, it either is going to make you prideful. Well, I have a nice new car and they don't really have a nice car. And oh man, yeah, we're further ahead than that group is,
Right.
or that family is, or it leads you discouraged because they have something you don't yet have. And now you're like, oh, like, I wish we could have what they have, and I wish we could have this, and I wish we could live that life. And oh man, they're just doing this like just on a whim. Like, that's so sweet. I wish I had that flexibility in our finances. So I think either way, comparison always leaves you in a spot. And the same thing with even work or you being an employee. The moment you start to compare yourself as an employee to another employee, you're doing two things. To me, you're getting out of your lane of what was expected of you from your boss, and that should be the only thing you focus on, is what's expected of you from your superior in your work. If I'm going, oh man, Andre's coming in an hour late twice this week, and like he seems like he's just not stressed, he seems like he's handling everything pretty good, he must be underworked, like he must not have much to do, and here I am slaving away over here. But what did I do? I just and now I'm starting to loathe my position and loathe my boss and loathe all these different things because I think that Andre has it easier than I do, when in reality it's not my place to make that decision. Maybe you handle stress better than I do. Maybe you do have a different workload. Maybe you just remind yourself. Yeah, there's many different things. And the second you get down into that side, it just doesn't really help. And so I know I've talked for about 10 minutes now about this answer, but
That's good though.
I'm just saying the blessed life for me is ultimately wanting what God wants, want to do my best to make my desires God's desires, or God's desires my desires, I guess is a better way of putting it. And remaining hope-filled, I guess. Like this week I'm going to talk about Joseph, and we've talked about Joseph a few times, but what Joseph's story really does is it really demonstrates and shows a picture of someone that did not live the blessed life on paper until he lived the blessed life. You know what I mean? Like in the pit, in the prison, in Potiphar's house, as a slave. There's lots of different things that he would have been like, what the heck is going on? And so today, or this week, I'm going to be talking about the promise of a blessed life. And the promise of a blessed life is making sure that we stay very, very, very pointed on God's promise of what that blessed life is. And so if you feel you're in the pit right now, remember that Joseph was ultimately delivered from that pit. If you're in prison right now in your mind or physically, it's like, remember, Joseph was also in jail and was delivered from that. And when he got to the end, he saw the story. He saw the whole story. And a lot of people don't do a good job of reminding themselves that their story's not done. And when they can see the majority of their story, they'll go, oh my goodness, what was God ever faithful? I didn't realize that happened and that happened and that happened and that happened. But if we compare our story to what we're experiencing right now, happiness is fleeting, right? Joy can sometimes be fleeting too, if you're not very cautious on sticking into kind of God's joyful ways. And so to me, the blessed life is staying close to God. It's stewarding what he gives you well. It's not comparing yourself and what he's given you compared to what he's given someone else, because the Bible says that to each, everyone's been given to what they can handle or their ability, which means that if I get 2 talents, God knows I can handle those 2 talents. But if my friend gets 5, why are you comparing yourself to your friend? Celebrate your friend. The fact that, wow, it's so amazing that God's entrusted you with 5. Like but it's everyone's like, well, that's easy for you to say, Zach. But it's like, that's the truth though. It's like, or you want to live in unhappiness for the rest of your life because you constantly just compare yourself to someone else. So I think those are the biggest things for the blessed life for me. It's hope, it's joy, it's stewardship and gratefulness. I think those are the 2 biggest things. And fighting consumerism to its very core. You can have fun things, but it's like
nothing inherently wrong with it. It's just, where's your heart? I think that needs to be clipped, the thing that you just said, for like 10 minutes. And people, if they are having a hard time with this, need to play that again and again and again and again, like every day. Because that's something that I mean, all of us are on the journey of like,
me too,
fighting that, you know what I mean? But I've just recently, I've really questioned my heart on this again and again and again, because it's easy to say, it's easy to hear, it's easy to go, yeah, I know, like, you know, I have it much better than so many other people in the world, but I still want this, and I still want this, and I still want this, because truly, the blessed life is not consumerism. God is not like, God is not looking at you going like, man, I want to give you a truck so badly. Like, this is not that, like, you completely missed it. I think if any part of God's blessing in your mind is, I get more stuff, I get more stuff, I get more stuff, you're in the wrong mindset. And I would say that is something that I have dealt with a lot, because it's easy to fall into that. Like, we live in a culture that is all about consumerism and is all about stuff. And if you don't have it, then that person's doing way better than you. And realizing that as Christians, we are not to compete with that. We're to take ourselves out of that. Like, the one thing that I keep reading is Corinthians and Philippians. Paul. Paul is he makes it so clear that, like, all the stuff is nothing. Like, it is, he literally, in my translation, which is the Amplified, he calls it garbage in comparison to God. And it's like, truly, if God is not enough for you on his own, I don't think that you fully understand the blessing. Now, does all the other stuff come with it? That's amazing. Yes. And is God being enough, including all the things that God, promises you, like the fruit of the Spirit? Yes, it is. But, like, too often, I think people are just so consumed with stuff and things and wants that they can't get their mind off of it. Like any time that they're spending time with God, the reason that they're spending time with God is because, God, thank you, Lord, that, we're going to have this house and we're going to have this thing. And it's like, it's not wrong to believe for that. But if that is your heart of the reason that you're spending time with God and the reason that you're praying is all just because you want something and, oh God, this is going to benefit my family. Yeah, there's a family out there that is walking to church. There's a family out there that lives with 4 kids in a 1-bedroom apartment. And you might talk to them and they're as blessed as they could possibly be.
Totally.
Because blessing isn't stuff. Blessing is a relationship with God. Recently, I heard a pastor say, the more satisfied I am in God, the more glorified God is. And, like, the thought behind this is, if you can truly just be satisfied in God, like, that's it. That is the crux of your entire life, is just finding full satisfaction in God. Because if you're not fully satisfied in God, there is always going to be something that you need in order to be satisfied. And the stuff is never truly satisfying.
Yeah, there's something my dad said a little while, or like, I say a little while ago all the time, but my dad said, I don't remember when he said it in which message. Mike reminded me of it yesterday, I think it was. And he said, too many times Christians look for the spectacular and miss the supernatural. And I just thought, wow, that's a good way of saying it. We're waiting for, and I think that for me to add to that would be, we define what's spectacular too. Like we do. God doesn't. We define what's spectacular. And for us, spectacular means the new truck, the new house. But there's supernatural things that happen every single day in our lives that we miss. And I think if we want another clip, is the fact that consumerism leaves you in the waiting period forever.
Yes.
That's what it does. And one of the biggest questions I get out of the thousands of people that come to our church, whether it's through, I was going to say social media, but I don't check DMs because I just get way too many of them. And I don't want that to be something that, I don't want people to feel like I don't value them because I didn't respond to a DM.
I know you don't check DMs because you don't look at my DMs.
It says it on my bio too because of that, right? Like, and I want to be as much as I can to everyone, and I do my best of that. But a lot of the questions I get is the waiting period questions. Well, I just feel like I've been waiting for a while. I've been praying for something, and there's no deliverance. There's nothing added, and I'm not talking about healing. I'm not talking about those types of things. I don't believe God puts you in a waiting period for healing. No. I believe that we live in a world right now that it is very difficult to make sure that we align our thoughts with faith instead of doubt. And consumerism and the world and the medical system, although not corrupt in what I'm saying right now, I'm saying that their legalities of making sure that you know your diagnosis, you know that you have a time frame on your life now, you know that 3 months and you could be dead, but we'll try to extend it to 2 years. Those are all okay things to say, but very hard, almost impossible for your flesh to take in and dispose of and get back to faith. Because once you know that, it's hard to get off of that. You're like, well, oh my goodness, the day's coming. No, just disregard what was said there. Do your best to live the best life you can, and realize that the good doctors and nurses and different things, they're just giving you either orders they've been given to give to the people that are under them, or just, I need to tell you this so we know the severity of what we're going through. But the problem with that is the fact that it's a very hard world to live in right now in faith, to fight the doubt that gets thrown at you all the time. It's like, I feel this way when I woke up. Oh, okay. But I have to remember what God says and keep reminding myself of that. So the waiting period that I'm trying to say is that I was talking to someone a little while ago, and he's probably listening, which is great. And we had a great conversation, but I just said, as people, we have an ability to put ourselves back into the waiting period the second that we get the answer to prayer, because we now believe for something greater than what we were just believing for. And we might enjoy and celebrate what we just experienced, but ultimately we are now going to believe for God for something bigger and greater. And now you just put yourself back into the waiting period. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like,
totally,
it's difficult. And if you always put yourself back in the waiting period, and that's why I always say that the antidote for the waiting period in your life is stewardship and gratefulness. I will say that to the day I die, because stewardship is an acknowledgement in caring for what you've been given, which is also a gratefulness, because if you care for something that you've been given, you are showing as an action you are grateful for it. I can say, thank you so much for giving me this truck, and then I drive into work every day and it's getting rustier, the bumper's falling. Thank you so much. You're like, yeah, he's thankful I gave it to him, but he's not really showing that through the way that he cares for the truck, right? So there's an action that shows gratitude as well, and that's stewardship. Right. So stewardship, I believe, is the action behind gratefulness. That's kind of what I believe in, what I think. And there might be a better definition out there, and that's fine. I'm just spitballing. But that's what we have to do. We have to stay grateful and steward well. If you have a house right now and it's not big enough, steward it well. Why would God want to give you a bigger house if he's seeing your house a mess right now? You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, your front yard's just falling apart, your backyard's falling apart, everything's just the holes in the walls in the house.
You need a new house.
Yeah, but I need a bigger house. And then we'll start to say, well, the reason I'm not caring for this house is because I couldn't even keep up with it. It's too small. Like it's like, no, you're missing it. Steward it well. And that's a way of us showing God we're grateful in the fact that we've been given something.
I think that this idea of the waiting period is a real thing. But to get your mindset off the waiting, like I heard it said that your life is only made up of a few really good big moments. And typically we define our lives by those things. So in my mind, what am I currently defined by? Well, I'm married to my wife. I have a house. I have a dog. I have a great family. Like those are big things that I might define my life by. I'm a pastor. Cool. Like those big things, when you die, all you get is one page. Yeah. You get one page of an obituary that says like, he was a great father. He was this, he was that. He accomplished this. Most people, they optimize their life for the peak experiences when truly you only get a very minimal amount of those things. So instead, stop optimizing for the peak experiences, stop waiting for the big thing to happen, and just be able to live for Tuesday. Just be able to live for today. Be able to live for what am I doing today that's actually making an impact? Because you only get so many big things. And if you live for those things, a good majority of your life is going to be spent waiting. It's going to be spent hoping, begging, pleading, working, with my head down. I'm just working as hard as I can to finally buy the house. It's like, okay, that's great. But like today still matters. You only have a very limited amount of time on this earth. We have no idea when we're going to die. Okay. That doesn't and some people take that and they go, okay, well then life's meaningless because I don't know how long it is and it's very short. But it's like, no, that means every moment that you have, every breath that you have in your lungs is of meaning because you're still here. And of course you put your faith in Jesus, you're going to spend eternity with God. But in my mind, like when you look at everything in the context of eternity, so many of the things that you think matter don't actually matter. Like I would never speak ill things over my life, but if I lost a bunch of the stuff that I had, it might be detrimental to me because I'm like, man, I really wish that I had that stuff. It wouldn't change the fact that I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning and I'm still going to have air in my lungs and I'm still going to, like, there's still purpose to be lived for. And I think Paul writes it really well. I don't know if I think it's in Philippians. He says, to live is Christ and to die is gain. And like I've kind of like simplified my life. I try to simplify my thoughts and my life down to that, because it's like, if I am living, then the reason that I'm living is Christ. And if I'm dead, then I'm with Jesus in eternity forever. And I'm not scared of death because it's going to be paradise, right? But that doesn't mean that today I'm still alive. And that means that there's still purpose and eternity to impact. So how can I do that? And I feel so blessed to be in the position that I'm in, where I'm a pastor and I work at a church. Like I'm blessed is the only word that I can say. But I think that there's this thing in culture where so many people, they're just waiting. Like they're just waiting for the next big thing. And the next big thing, it's great for a moment, but then it's fleeting. And then they get, and the thing with life is you can live from the day that you're born to the day that you die completely distracted. Like that's a sad reality. You can look at a screen, you can play video games, you can go buy stuff, you can work hard enough to have the nice things, but really it's all just distraction. I mean, from a Christian standpoint, it's a distraction from Christ. It's a distraction from living with purpose every single day. And like I said, I think it's a sad reality that a lot of people do live that way, and that they do die and they look back at their life and they're like, man, I kind of wish I did more. Like I wish I had more of an impact. And yeah, that just hits me really deep. So
for sure, and it should, because I think people get off into the deep end sometimes. And somewhat Paul wrote. I just want to remember what the verse is. I want to remember what this. I mean, one of my favorites is Philippians, and I can't remember the exact verse, but I talked about it in last week's message. No,
you did talk about a verse from Philippians, but.
No, maybe it was week 3. I get confused week 2 and 3, but week 3 had about learning to be content in all circumstances. I've learned. Yeah, I said it in point 3.
Okay.
It might have been point 2. I've learned to be content in all things, with a full stomach, with an empty stomach, with things with no you know what I mean? And I love that verse because it's telling us that no, we've learned to be this way. You don't just feel this way. Everyone always loves to feel a certain way and let that dictate their movement. And it's like, no. Paul's saying I've learned. I mean, and what does learning mean? Choosing a lot of the time too. It's like you have to choose to learn something. So you're choosing to go this route. Yeah. And I just want to make sure I get this verse. I'm just looking it up quickly. Philippians was a really good one, though. That's the thing.
I want to say it was in Philippians 4, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, he says so much good stuff, man. It's crazy.
Read Philippians, honestly.
Even forgetting what's behind and reaching forward, Philippians 3:13. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Paul's in jail when he writes Philippians.
Paul's in jail writing quite a bit of...
Dude literally has nothing, and he's going, everything is garbage. I just want Jesus.
Yeah, he's saying... Yeah, exactly. There's one that's in my mind right now that I can't find, and I can't remember what it is, but... Yeah, Philippians. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication. That was a good one too. I'm trying to find the one that you read. You
quoted?
Yeah.
Oh, live as Christ, die as gain. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, I'd like to know what it says before and after that.
Let me find it. It's Philippians 1 verse 21 is where it says, "For me to live is Christ. He is my source of joy, my reason to live, and to die is gain, for I will be with him in eternity." And do you want me to keep reading?
Sure.
"If, however, it is to be life here and I am to go on living, this will mean useful and productive service for me. So I do not know which to choose." Okay, so yeah, in this section of scripture, Paul is pretty much saying, like, for me to live is Christ, to die is gain. It would be so much greater for me to die because I'd be with Jesus. But the fact that I am alive, there's work for me to do on this earth, which is to be here for the church, to like advance
And
Christ.
even then, he is redirecting his attention off of how he feels. I prepare for a lot of messages all the time. And so I forget a lot of the specifics that I say in certain messages because of that.
Makes
but
sense.
one of the profound things that I found in scripture and I spoke about was that the reason that Paul could go through all of the torture that you could call that he did in his life, and this is what people need to remember in their life as Christians, in their walk with God, is that Paul was able to keep his eye on the goal and do what God called him to do because he never, ever compared his suffering and his pain to his comfort. He always compared his suffering and his pain to his ultimate goal that was given to him from Christ. So one aspect that we always do, we don't live comfortable lives a lot, or we get a little bit too ingrained as Christians in the pain of what we feel because we compare the painful season we're in to the comfortable season that we just ended. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where people need to get off of that. Stop comparing everything to your comfort and start comparing it to what it's accomplishing for the kingdom. And when you start to accomplish things for the kingdom, oh my goodness, it changes everything. It changes absolutely everything. And if Christians did that, it would unlock a new ability to learn to be content.
Yeah.
That's
100%. I think a scripture to go along with this is Philippians 1 verse 29. It says, "For you have been granted the privilege for Christ's sake, not only to believe and confidently trust in him, but also to suffer for his sake." And I find that word suffering something that a lot of Christians stumble on because people go like, well, why would I want to suffer? Like, why is suffering a good thing, right?
you don't want to.
We don't want to suffer, but it's suffering in the world's standards. Like as a Christian, of course you're going to suffer because in the world's standards, they go do sin. And as Christians, we're called not to sin. So truly, if not sinning is suffering, I'm glad to do that. I'm glad to walk in that. And like, I think...
Jesus didn't want to suffer.
No.
That's what people don't understand. It's like he came to the earth, and for 33 years, it said that he knew what the Father sent him to do. And when he was young, which means that imagine you being 12 years old right now and going at 33, keep that thought you just thought. I'm interrupting because I'm mean.
You're good.
And he thought from 12 years old, imagine going in 21 years, I'm gonna die the most gruesome death that any man has ever endured ever. It's like, that would be insane.
A sheep to the slaughter.
Yeah, legit. And sheep to the slaughter is an understatement because it's like, that's at least quick and easy.
Yeah,
but this was like meant to be like painful and
worst.
suffering to the degree of the night before. He was saying, God, if I can pass this cup, allow me to, right? But if it's your will, he said, then I'll do it.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh my goodness, like that's
Sweating
just unreal.
blood.
Yeah, sweating blood because he's so stressed.
That's so crazy.
I think that we have to just be careful to not pursue comfort all the time. It's like we want more comfort, more comfort, more comfort, more comfort. No, every season in life brings less comfort for me.
Yeah.
It's like stepping in as a senior pastor, less comfort.
100%.
Stepping in as a dad, less comfort. The further we get into marriage, we get better at it, but there's aspects that become less comfortable because it's just you're learning to live together and you are continuing to go forward, and you realize that when you're single, it's a very selfish lifestyle you live because you do whatever you want when you want to do it. But when you have someone else and a family, you now realize I can't just do whatever I want when I want to, right? Like comfort is just the worst thing to focus on in the world that we live in.
Comfort is the world's God.
Oh yeah.
And typically it comes through money, it comes through stuff. But everyone just wants to be comfortable. As a Christian, I think one of the hardest things for us to do, but a task and a quest so worth persevering, is realizing that comfort is so nothing. It is zero. It is meaningless in comparison to God, eternity, and the mission that we're on as Christians. And like, I think you said something, and I think it was your second, it might have been your third message, where it's like, people are like, God, use me today. Like, I want to be used by you, all for your glory.
Second message. Yeah.
And then when something comes along the road where it's like, this is an opportunity for you to do something, truly what they meant was, God, I want to do a little bit for you, but I want it to be all for my glory.
I want the benefit.
I want the benefit of stuff, things, the feelings. And you use the example of Costco, and I think Costco is such a good example because so many people have stories of Costco. I was in Costco the other day, this guy ran his cart into me, and I turned around and I completely told him off and all this, and it makes us feel like these macho men that, I had this face-to-face interaction where I got to really tell somebody how stupid they are for the mistake that they've made, when as a Christian, that is not the way. Like, are you actually a Christian, or you just call yourself a Christian, but you just live your life the way that you want to live it? Because I now look at Costco as just a test of patience, honestly. Like, when I go in there, I know that I'm not going to go in and get out quickly. The other day, I was standing in line, leaving space for somebody to go through the aisle. And the lady behind me, she obviously wasn't looking up, but she accidentally runs her cart into me. And I turn around, I just kind of give her a glance, nothing else. And she looks at me and she goes, hey, like, do you even know where you're going? And she says that to me when she's kind of like obviously in the wrong. And I think she knew that. In that moment, everything inside of me wanted to like clap back and be like, what are you talking about? I'm leaving space for the aisle, whatever. But I just turned around and I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, I'm just leaving space for the person in front of me so people can still go in and out of the aisles, whatever. And we have this, and instantly defuses her. She gets calm. And I'm like, I hope you have a great rest of your day. And like, that was it. There have been times in Costco when I haven't done that. But like, every single day is an opportunity to live for Christ. And to live for Christ is to suffer in the way of, I'm not going to listen to my flesh. I'm not going to be the person that, I want to be. I'm going to be the person that God's called me to be. And that little bit of kindness, that little bit of patience, that little bit of whatever it is goes such a long way. And like that, it's outlined in the Bible very clearly, is what sets us apart from everyone else. Like, what is it to love a brother? The world does that. What is it to love your enemy? What is it to love the people that persecute you? Like that's what as Christians completely sets us apart.
Totally it does. And I think, what are you proving, and who you proving it to, and what's your gain when you're macho or you respond a certain way?
It's just pride and ego.
You want to have a worse experience than Costco right now? Go on a Saturday to the Regent Canadian Tire. Good Lord. Yeah. My goodness.
Maybe I will.
I was there the other day with Jess, and it's like, it's huge now. And they have these Christmas aisles, and everyone's in these Christmas aisles. And I'm like, but they've made these Christmas aisles tiny. And I'm just like, we went to one because Jess wanted to pick up some garland for our tree at home. And I'm like, we got the garland. I'm like, Jess, I need to leave. Like, I'm going to say something I don't mean to someone, and it's going to be someone who knows me, and it's going to be bad, and they're going to see me, and then I'm going to be judged for the rest of my life on that one time that I yelled at someone at Canadian Tire. Yeah. And I'm like, this is brutal. Like, this is insane. Like, it was just like, I was like, I need to get the heck out of here. Like, it was bad. And I was just like, oh my goodness. And so I'm like, or at least go to a part of the store that's just less and chill. And they, of course, just expanded this massive, like, new addition to it, right? So it's bigger, but it's like,
Does it feel bigger?
Oh my goodness. It is brutal. Yeah. And I'm sorry if you're a manager there and you're listening to this podcast right now. I'm not hating on you at all. I'm just saying the store is difficult. Yeah. And it was also a day off. Like, it was a Saturday or Tuesday? Crazy. Might have been Tuesday, actually.
No, yeah.
Anyways, crazy. But yes, you're very right. You're very right. And that is a part of the suffering, I think, that the Bible's talking about too.
And the thing that Paul makes so clear is he doesn't feel as if this suffering is like, as a Christian, I just have to do that. He's like, I am privileged to suffer for Christ. Like, to count this all as gain. For me to lose out in a fleshly perspective, but be able to preach the word of Jesus and to love others and to help others is so much more. And I think one of the things you said is a knight in shining armor is just a man that hasn't been tested.
Mm-hmm.
And that thought goes through my mind every time that I'm at like the crossroads of one of these opportunities to either be a complete whatever mean guy, okay, to somebody, or choose the other path. And I'm not perfect, and in no way am I trying to say like, oh, I'm the perfect Christian that always chooses the right thing. Absolutely not. No. But truly, Christianity is being set apart in the way of the world is going to act a certain way. This is why, like, when I hear people all the time talking about how terrible the world is and how, I can't believe they did that. I can't believe that's happening in that country. I'm like, what do you mean you can't believe it? Mm-hmm. Did you read the Bible? Did you read any word that it said? Again, are you going to call yourself a Christian or are you going to live like a Christian? Because the Bible outlines that these people are lost.
Totally.
We're not even supposed to judge them.
No.
According to Christianity. We're like, Paul literally says, I become all things for all people.
Yeah.
Because he understands that for me to come from a high point of, well, I believe in Christ and everything that I do is the right way to do it. No one wants that.
Yeah.
So realizing that, like, I said this when we did an event at our youth group on Halloween. It was not a Halloween event. We called it Hallelujah Night. It was all about Jesus and worshiping. Mm-hmm. But people came dressed up, and we had students come in costumes that were not terrible, okay? If it was something incredibly evil, I'd be like, hey, sorry, like, you need to find a change of clothes or something. But what I told my, like, volunteers and my team, which they did so incredibly, it was an amazing night.
Yeah.
If somebody comes dressed up as Michael Myers, okay, or whoever, you name it, from a horror movie, it is not your goal to go up to them and ask them what the heck they're doing. You want to know why? Because they're lost. Mm-hmm. You're looking at somebody who is completely lost. They don't have the morals of a Christian. To hold them to Christian to Christian standards is to just push them as far away as you possibly can from Jesus. Mm-hmm. Instead, meet them with love. Mm-hmm. And once they feel loved, guess what? Then they're going to open up their heart to be like, hey, maybe this is somewhere that I want to be. The more they come, the more they're convicted, the more they realize the way that they were living is not the way that they should be living. But as Christians, like, we're so quick to judge.
Yeah.
And
it's acceptance that leads to transformation. Not agreement, acceptance.
Acceptance.
Meaning you accept them for who they are, as they are, realizing that God does that. But also God, and I've said this multiple times, God loves them so much that he doesn't want them to remain in where they are. That's why you saw transformation everywhere that Jesus went, not just acceptance.
It was true repentance.
Yes, but acceptance always came before the transformation came. It was always like, I mean, the woman caught in adultery, the woman at the well, Zacchaeus in the tree, everyone. There was the acceptance of who they were because they were a child of God. Now, just because they were a child of God does not mean that he was in agreement with the way they were living. In fact, he also ended a lot of those conversations. Well, I think with Zacchaeus, didn't he say, no, he didn't say that. With the woman caught in adultery, though, at the end, he said, again, and this is what shows you he accepted her for who she was, but didn't agree with what she was doing. Mm-hmm. Adultery was still a bad thing. It was still a sin. And at the end, Jesus shows you that in a very loving way by saying, now go on your way and sin no more. So the sin no more was the ending of the saying, I don't agree with how you're acting, but I also am saying all these men surrounding you are hypocritical in the fact that they think they're higher than thou and they should be the person that brings judgment to you when they're in sin too, just something else, right? Yep. And I think that was a very good, and so that's the same thing, right? And our youth group is not, it is discipleship in the midst of outreach. You have outreach happening every single week, so you can't 100%. Just disciple them as if they are. Dave Minton was in our church a little while ago, and he said it perfectly. He just said, I get so sick of Christians that expect non-Christians to act like Christians. Yeah. It's just like, that's exactly it. Yeah. And expecting them to act like Christians is not going to make them Christians. They're going to be like, you're a judgmental and you need to be out. Like, I'm done with you. Like, I don't want to go to church because the moment I walk in, I'm going to have to change everything that I am. Yeah. When in reality, everyone who has changed who they are, what they do, and how they act has come from because they've had this revelation, they've had this experience with God that made them feel that way, where I need to give up all this stuff because living for God is much better. And that's where that came from. And so, I agree with you. Yeah. It's we're not pushing people to act the way that we are, there is an expectation at youth for people to act a certain way. There is a respectable, yes, there's respectful things they need to do. Otherwise they can't come back.
Right.
But that's on both sides.
It's an outreach.
Yes.
And I think something Dave Minton said has stuck with me, and I'm not going to quote it perfectly, but it's something along the lines of like the disciples didn't go up to people and say like, okay, I need you to be able to die for the cause. Mm-hmm. It was come see.
Yes.
Then taste and see.
Yeah.
Then follow me.
Yeah.
Then die for me.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm at a position in my faith where I would die for Jesus without a doubt. There's nothing in my mind that makes me question that. I am sold out. But for me to look at somebody else early on in their faith, baby Christians. I mean, Paul even talks about the fact that not all Christians are at the same point throughout the journey. There's baby Christians that have to be fed a different way than us who are a little bit further along. It's not to say that we're way better, but everybody's on this journey, right?
Yep.
And to look at somebody who you should be saying, hey, come see. Just come see how it is. And you're going, you need to be able to die for the cause. Well, of course they're not able to die for the cause because they don't even know what the cause is. They don't know why you live that way, and they have no reason to feel that way. And totally. I think that Christians play into this division of like the world. We're different than the world, and we want to be nothing like the world. And I'm like, I agree with that, but you understand we live in the world. Mm-hmm. We're not of the world, but we still live in the world, meaning our job is to go out into the world and live as Christians, but be all things to all people and bring people closer to Christ and be relatable. And I think this is where the whole idea of spirit contemporary, I think some people honestly disagree with spirit contemporary because they're going, oh, well, you're living like the world. It's like, no, I'm not living like the world, but I live in the world where worldly things are happening all the time. And I'm not just going to go sit in my attic praying and reading my Bible 24/7 because I feel like that's the only thing I can do. Like, I'm called to go reach the masses. And the only way that we're going to be able to do that is by being relatable. And you even see it with the way Jesus taught. Why did he teach in parables? Because they were extremely relatable to the people he was talking to, right? And they saved so many people. They changed so many lives. Like, eternity can be changed, but
it can. And I think that I'm going back to that verse that you mentioned about being all things to all people, because people take that as like a get it out of jail free card, as like I can go do what I want when I want.
I'll get drunk at the bar because I want to go with the drunks.
Someone's got to be a light in there, and it's like, doesn't mean you partake in what they do.
100%.
And so there's context within this. So it's in 1 Corinthians that we find this, chapter 9, verse 19 to 23, and it's actually a really cool verse.
It is.
The first line, he says, "For though I am free from all men, I have made myself a servant to all, that I might win the more." So he's saying, I don't owe anyone anything. He's like, I choose to serve everyone so more people can meet Jesus.
Yep.
Great. Verse 20, "To the Jews I became as a Jew, to those under the law as under the law."
Yep.
So when I'm with Jewish people, he's saying, I speak their language and understand their world so I can reach them, right? 1 Corinthians 9:21, "To those without law as without law, that I might win those who are without law." So when I'm with non-Jewish people, he's not saying those who are committing murder. He's saying when I'm with non-Jewish people, so not under the law of Christ at that moment or under the law of Leviticus, he says, I meet them where they're at too. Not acting lawless, he says, but connecting in a way they understand, right? I view this as understanding where people are. It's, oh, you've done things in your past that I would not agree with, but for me to judge you for the things that you've done in your past, I have to assume that I'm better than you and never been tempted the way that you were. And no. He's just saying, be able to accept them for who they are. Yeah. Doesn't mean you are also lawless. They're lawless, so don't treat them like they know all of like that. They're purposely making a desire and decision to sin. 1 Corinthians 9:22 says, "To the weak I became as weak. I have become all things to all men." Yeah. And so if someone is struggling, what he's meaning is I will slow down to their level. I will slow down to where they are. I will try to relate to them in what they're going through. If someone is strong, I relate to them as strong. I adjust my approach so that I can bring more people to Jesus, right? But he's still at the conviction of a Christian.
Yes.
That's the thing. It wasn't like he was like, I'm ditching Christianity to reach these people. And then he says at the end, he says, now this I do for the gospel's sake.
Yeah.
It's all to the gospel. So I'm not pretending. I'm not performing. I'm doing it because God called us to reach all nations. Yes. That doesn't mean you get into the sin they're in, but it does mean that you don't judge them as a Christian sinning. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's different than that. He's simply doing whatever he can do that helps people see Jesus.
With the goal of winning them more.
He outlines exactly.
it right at the beginning.
100%. I am doing this. I know, it's a great verse. And
I think that is spirit contemporary.
For sure it is.
Truly. Yeah. And I think that the amount...
Maybe it's time I do another message on all that.
Yeah, maybe it is. Yeah, I think that sometimes that gets lost in translation. Where I've heard people say oh, well, all spirit contemporary is, which they don't come to our church, but you're holding on to the world's hand and holding on to Jesus's hand, and you're partaking in both in the hopes that maybe you might bring somebody to Christ. It's that's not it literally at all. You completely missed it. It's exactly what Paul is saying. I am going into their circles. I'm not doing what they do. I am bringing myself to their level. I'm not of the world, but I live in the world, meaning I got to go to all the places in the world, and I am going to be relatable to them. I'm not going to treat them like terrible, crappy little sinners that deserve hell. I'm going to treat them like a human being because I'm a sinner as well, and I am going to hopefully win them to Christ.
Yeah.
And I think if more people had that outlook, truly, this whole idea of being too religious is just out the window with that one set of scripture right there. Because it's
well, I just get annoyed with people who are like, do you avoid all the teachings of Jesus to get to your conclusion of what spirit contemporary means or what it means to reach the world and be a Christian? You can do both things. Yeah. I can sit with someone who's, I don't drink alcohol. I never have. I don't judge those who do. I just never have and I never will. I believe that I see enough in scripture with my role that it's a detriment for me to start. So I'm not going to. Now, I sit with friends who enjoy their alcohol here and there, and I have a very a line drawn in the sand for my life where I'm I'm not going to hang out with you if you abuse this. Have your drink and enjoy it, but I don't need that in order to have a conversation with someone. I can enjoy whatever else drink that I enjoy. And so I think that there's an aspect that people think that you need to do what they do in order to reach them. No. You don't need to do what they do. You just need to accept who they are. Yeah. At that moment. And the acceptance will always lead to the transformation. That's how it always works.
And acceptance is not agreement.
Yes.
Making that very clear.
Yes.
You're not agreeing with what they're doing.
No.
But you're realizing that they are lost. And that to hold them to the standard of a Christian is to push them as far away from Jesus as you possibly could, because you're just looking at them as a broken piece of garbage, which that's not the way Jesus looks at them. So why would you look at them?
And you might as well look at yourself like that, because you're making the same types of mistakes in different ways, but we just think that because we know our own intentions are pure, but I stumbled, therefore I'm doing it for the right things. But their intentions, they must not have great intentions. You cannot judge someone's heart. Yeah. So it's at the end of the day, I'm not talking about just about alcohol, I'm talking about everything. I'm just saying Jesus went in and basically said, hey, I accept you for who you are. And that disarms someone to realize that they're not judged for the way they act right now. Yeah. But there is the truth in the matter is that all throughout scripture, we've read about that there's a way of living in God's best for your life, and there's a way of living in not God's best of your life. So if you're not living in the ways of God, that is God's best for your life, don't expect the consequences of living like you're living in God's best. Because if you're not acting like it, you're not going to experience it. If you're not planting those seeds, you're not going to reap the harvest. That's just how it works. That's in everyday life. If you treat your manager at work like crap, at some point he's going to treat you like crap. Well, he treats me like crap. Okay, so let's just perpetuate the cycle. Yeah. And now let's start to make a habit in yourself that when you get treated wrongly, you're going to treat others wrongly. That doesn't do anything for you. In fact, maybe that job isn't anything more than God showing you how to handle difficult people. So when you are a manager one day or an owner one day, you understand how to handle in a good Christ-like way difficult people. There's many different ways of doing this. And I always go, like, God, what can I learn through this? Like, I don't always do that. I'm acting like a higher than thou Christian right now. Many times I get annoyed and I say, Jess, let's get the heck out of here. Let's just go home. I can't handle people right now. But I'm saying, when I really think back and reflect, I don't outburst. I'll say that. First and foremost, I do not outburst. Yeah. I have every reason to sometimes when I'm in stores and someone cuts you off and someone looks at you and says something stupid. I don't outburst. I never have, never will. Yeah. But I still feel like, like I'm annoyed right now, right? Like I stared at a guy in Canadian Tire because he's like walking right behind me and right behind Jess. And he's trying to get around us. And I'm like, just settle down. Yeah. And then he turns into a lane and I'm trying to get past him because he cut me off. And then I'm trying to get down this lane and I'm like, and then he's not moving for me. And I'm like, and then later in the time, he cuts off me and Jess in between us carrying these things and doesn't care. And I'm just like, so then I stared in his eyes for a second, and
Canadian
I'm like,
Tire had the biggest sale of all time.
I don't know.
And it was just like,
everyone has the biggest sale during Christmas time.
Everything's
just
so funny.
Just so for everyone to know, Canadian Tire or any other store, their goal was to sell that for $60 the entire time. It wasn't meant to be sold for 120.
43% off.
It's not 50% off.
It's not.
No, it was the discussions in the back room where we are selling this for $60. It is not on sale, but we're going to say that we wanted to market at 120, and we're going to say 50% off, and you're going to buy it. Crazy. It's just funny. Anyways, I'm just saying this just to and we should probably close up, but I'm just saying this in the sense that I don't act higher than thou all the time. I'm sure sometimes I do, but my goal is to, if Paul's saying be all things to all people, that means, what does that mean in the real world? It means that when I'm sitting and someone's telling me about their life that I don't approve of what they do, I'm not there to tell them that I don't approve of what they do. Yeah. I'm there to go, I actually want to understand the reasons as to why they did it, so I can further empathize with someone. But my sometimes empathy can validate wrong feelings. Yeah. And I don't want to validate wrong feelings, but I want to empathize with them as a human being that makes mistakes, just because I'm someone that makes mistakes. And I want to be empathized with I want people to empathize with me when I make a mistake that's genuinely a mistake. And I didn't mean to do that, but sometimes I screw up and I don't mean to. Totally. I want them to know that I love them still, and nothing's going to change that. But when that conversation opens up for me to be a little bit more open with them about what God thinks, I can say, God loves you the way you are, but God has such an amazing plan for you that if you just were to see the way God sees you, you'd see him love you right now, accept you, and forgive you the instant that you do something wrong, but also go, man, I love you so much that I want to see you thrive, and you're not thriving right now. And that's kind of the more view that I believe God has for people.
I would agree. I think it's, which we can end right after this or whatever, but that I've shifted my focus, at least I try to keep my heart aligned with this, is that like people are lost. Imagine if I was lost. Like I so badly, I wouldn't know that I want to be found, but we are Christians who are looking at people going like, man, I just so badly want you to be found. I want you to know. I want you to know that there's so much more. But you need to treat them like they're lost. Mm-hmm. It'd be like looking at a child in a store that's lost from their parents and being like, how do you not know where your parents are? Mm-hmm. Because they're lost. Like they need help. They need somebody to be there for them. They need a listening ear. They don't need somebody shouting them down. They don't need somebody telling them, well, that's not very godly and you shouldn't. Like, they need somebody to grab a hold of their hand and be like, listen, I want to help you in the most loving way that I possibly can. And again, not being in agreement with what they're doing, but being able to do it in a way that just screams God's love in such a passionate way that people can't deny. Like, I do not want to be a Christian that talks about God's love and can preach it from the stage. I want to be a Christian that the light of Jesus and the love just flows through me everywhere I go, that it's undeniable. Because God's love is undeniable. What he did for us is undeniable. Nobody can say that was a selfish thing to do. Like it was the most selfless thing to do. And if I could just have an ounce of that and walk around and spread that to the people around me, like I will have lived a good life and I'd be content with that.
Well, it's, you live a good life because you're doing what God called you to do.
To live is Christ. To die is gain. I'm here, so I'm living for Christ.
Yeah. And that's why we feel fulfilled, though.
Yes,
it's because that's
100%.
That's the calling. Like it's like they're lost, but they don't know they're lost. And for me to say they're lost sounds kind of like
They don't want to hear that either.
Yeah, it kind of sounds arrogant of me. It's like as if I'm found and I've found my way. No, I'm screwing up every single day, stumbling around, trying to figure out where God's leading me next. And sometimes I think he's leading me there and he's not, because that ends in a freaking dead end. Yeah. And then I go over there and I realize that's where he was leading me the entire time. Like it's approaching everyone almost with the mindset that we're all lost. And we're just helping everyone go. Like the only difference between me and someone else is the fact that Jesus lives in me. That's the only difference. Yeah. And that I every day try to make an effort to make the decision to go towards where God is leading me, rather than someone else that isn't doing it because they don't want to. Maybe they don't want to, but because they just don't have a moral compass connected to God. And that's fine. Like, it's like, go live your life the way you want to. But again, every direction that we choose, every highway comes with like speed bumps and potholes. You know what I mean? And it's like, but there's the highway that God chooses for you to drive down. And I think with his guidance, he'll help you avoid those potholes as to the best of the abilities. But sometimes your eyes get taken off the road and you just crank a pothole and you get really mad and you're like, what the heck? I didn't mean to do that. Yeah. And but then there's some highways that have a lot more potholes. And you don't have much guidance on them. And that's kind of the way that God lives. And it's like, I want to make sure that I am on the highway God's bringing me through. Because although it's going to be shaky at times and I might stumble here and there and hit a few potholes, the consequences of that, like the good consequences of that highway, are much better than the ones without God. It's like, I need to go down that one. And so that's the same thing with every single person that's out there when it comes to evangelizing. It's like, try to connect with where they are right now. Don't try to connect with them to get them brought up to your level. Connect with them where they are right now. And then don't even bring up you're a Christian. At some point in your accepting of them, they'll go, wow, this guy must be a guy that isn't a Christian, doesn't believe in God, because he's accepted me like every one of my other friends. And then he starts to realize, no, you actually aren't. You are a Christian. You believe in God. You go to church every single week. And now they're like, oh, this is a different Christian than I've ever met. Yeah, you met a real one that accepts you for who you are, but also sees you the way, because we see them the way that God sees them. It's just like, Anyways, we're going to go longer and longer and longer. So we better end it there. For those of you watching, hopefully you enjoyed these conversations with Andre we always go a lot of different areas. Which we hit great.
A lot of different paths.
It's just a fun conversation, and it's a breath of fresh air for me, because I don't have to prep all these different things. We can just have a good conversation about what's going on. And so I just want to say to those of you that are listening in, like always, if you listen to this spot, share it, like it, subscribe to this channel, get it out there as much as we can, because this podcast being followed and heard by many people, I believe is a great thing to happen for people that are maybe lost, maybe not lost, maybe in a spot where they don't know what they're doing, or they do know what they're doing. This podcast is for everyone, and I love that we can bring the truth of Jesus in the midst of our conversation. So like, subscribe, share, comment, do all the things to get the gospel out to the every single nation is what God's called us to do. So do that. Know that we love you. We're going to see you next episode as well. Like always, same place as always. And until then, have an awesome time. We'll see you soon.